He was the Hollywood version of a Marine officer, tall, 6'3" or so, handsome, with broad shoulders and lean of hip. His men loved him, and every junior officer in the outfit wanted to be just like him, unquote. That's what Marine Raider John Sweeney said about his former commanding officer and our subject for today's edition of The Ultimate Sacrifice, Kenneth D. Bailey. Hello and welcome to The Ultimate Sacrifice. I'm Louis Marsh, Senior Pastor of River Church and your host for this edition of The Ultimate Sacrifice. Now, the first time that I recorded this, which was in 2016 for our local radio show, I was actually at the annual Marine Raider reunion when it played a week or so later. I was there because my father was a Marine Raider in the 4th Battalion, and I joined as well to become interested and ended up being on the board and was chaplain of the association for 10 or 11 years and did some other things. So today the script's been upgraded and we're going to unleash it on YouTube right now, and you, I hope, will really enjoy this. Today I'm going to share the story of a man who not only made the ultimate sacrifice, but did so during a real turning point in World War II, the Guadalcanal campaign. Kenneth Dylan Bailey was born in Pawnee, Oklahoma on October 21st, 1910. He later moved to Danville, Illinois with his parents and spent 3 years with the 130th Infantry Regiment, Illinois National Guard. He graduated from the University of Illinois in 1935 and was an active member of the National Association of Pershing Rifles, later serving as a second in command of that outfit. He received his second lieutenant's commission in the Marine Corps on July 1st, 1935. He was ordered to the Marine Barracks in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where he completed a course of instruction in the basic school. Joining the 5th Marine Regiment at the Marine Corps base Quantico, Virginia, he participated in maneuvers in San Diego, California, and in the Caribbean. In June of 1938, he joined the Marine Detachment aboard the battleship USS Pennsylvania, the BB-38, as detachment and battery officer. He was advanced to first lieutenant, and on January 19, 1939, he received that advancement while serving on board the Pennsylvania. A short tour of duty at Quantico as range officer with the Rifle Range Detachment preceded his assignment as assistant to the training officer, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island at Parris Island in South Carolina. First Lieutenant Bailey was then ordered to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba in December of 1940, where he joined the 1st Marine Brigade. He later joined the 7th Marine Regiment, then the 1st Marine Regiment, which returned to Parris Island not long after he reported for duty, and he was promoted to captain in March of 1941. At Quantico in June of 1941, he joined the 5th Marine Regiment as a company commander. In February of 1942, his unit was redesignated the 1st Marine Raider Battalion. The unit was ordered to Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, California, in April of 42, and on April 30th, 1942, they finally reached Tutia, American Samoa, and was promoted to major on May 8th, 1942. The 1st Marines landed on Tulagi at the beginning of the Guadalcanal campaign on August 7th, 1942. Now a major and a company commander, Bailey led his men ashore. After the advance of his company had been stopped by concentrated machine gun fire and rifle fire, Major Bailey worked his way with great difficulty to the side of a Japanese dugout and attempted to remove it from the flank. Although severely wounded, he continued to direct the ensuing action of his company until he was forcibly evacuated. Only about a month later, having recovered from the wounds that he received on Tulagi, Major Bailey was back in action as company commander of Company C, 1st Marine Raider Battalion, on the main island of Guadalcanal itself. The first Raiders had just 1 day to dig in before the Japanese struck their position. The 2-day battle, which has become known as the Battle for Edson's Ridge, that's named after the 1st Marine Raiders commanding officer, Red Mike Edson, who we'll talk about later in Season 2, was critical in our victory at Guadalcanal. On the first night, September 12th, Company C was pushed back, but they held together. On the second night, Edson put the company in reserve, but as the Japanese attacked, they came in a flanking maneuver that threatened the entire Marine position. It looked like they might take the ridge, and if they could take and hold the ridge, they would be able to shut down the airfield, and without air cover, without Henderson Field, the Marine position on Guadalcanal would rapidly become untenable. So Bailey led his men in repulsing the Japanese attack, which had penetrated American lines. In doing so, he received a severe head wound, yet he continued to lead his men for more than 10 hours in fierce hand-to-hand combat. For his actions in this battle, Major Bailey was recommended for the Medal of Honor. Meanwhile, of course, the war continued. Feeling that he had recovered enough from his second wound, Bailey returned once more to his unit. The First Raiders were at that time heavily involved in a series of battles along the Matanacao River, and Major Bailey was killed in action on the morning of September 26, 1942, while leading his men trying to cross once more and hold a position across the Matanacao River. He was buried on Guadalcanal, but his remains were later reinterred in Spring Hill Cemetery, Danville, Illinois, and that took place in June of 1948. About 6 months after his death, Major Bailey was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on March 24, 1943, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt led the ceremony, which was held at the White House, and the medal was presented by the president to Bailey's widow, Elizabeth S. Bailey. The citation reads as follows, quote, "For extraordinary courage and heroic conduct above and beyond the call of duty as commanding officer of Company C, 1st Raider Battalion, during the enemy Japanese attack on Henderson Field, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands, 12th and 13th of September, 1942, completely reorganized following the severe engagement of the night before, Major Bailey's company, within an hour after taking its assigned position as reserve battalion between the main line and the coveted airport, was threatened on the right flank by the penetration of the enemy into a gap in the main line. In addition to repulsing this threat while steadily improving his own desperately held position, he used every weapon at his command to cover the forced withdrawal of the main line before a hammering assault by superior enemy forces. After rendering invaluable service to the battalion commander in stemming the retreat and reorganizing the troops and extending the reverse position to the left, Major Bailey, despite a severe head wound, repeatedly led his troops in fierce hand-to-hand combat for a period of 10 hours. His great personal valor, while exposed to constant and merciless enemy fire, and his indomitable fighting spirit inspired his troops to heights of heroic endeavor which enabled them to repulse the enemy and hold Henderson Field. He gallantly gave his life in service of his country," unquote. Today, Major Bailey's Medal of Honor resides in Vermilion County War Museum in Danville, Illinois. Let us stop and give thanks for men like Major Bailey, who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. I'm Louis Marsh, Senior Pastor of River Church here in Parker, Arizona. I hope you'll consider listening to our other podcast, which you'll see a QR code for right over here, called Tales from the Scrypt. It's Bible stories for adult with lots of history and archaeology thrown in to show you just how accurate. And I hope you'll be back with us next week when we are going to have another true story of American heroism taken from the Pacific War. Early in the Pacific War, we're trying to do most of these shows in the second season around the Solomon Island Guadalcanal campaign. So come back and join us then. And until then, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Give us a like. It would do so much to help out our channel. And until next time, take care. God bless you. And God bless America.